Let me say something that you might not like. I think all four of you know that God really exists. I think you do know. You don't want it to be true.
That's putting
Opposite.
Right? I said you might not like it, right?
We are approaching the 150th episode of Middle Ground, and we need your help to continue making more episodes.
Join our Middle Ground Patreon community and make Middle Ground with us.
Christianity is the only true religion.
Can the agreeers please step forward?
It's kind of interesting because there are so many religions, and I don't even consider myself religious. I consider myself a child of God. I have a relationship with Jesus. So I would say the only true way to heaven, the only true way to eternal everlasting life is Christianity.
Well, I'm surprised that all of us came forward because, I'm a pastor, so that's expected of me. But I've noticed that it's such a hard thing to say today, rather than it was like 30 years ago, because so many people get offended. I mean, you didn't say anything else except Jesus is the only way, and right there, people don't want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's really true.
True. For me, I think all religions teach you to do well. But Christianity is the only religion that teaches you can't do it without God. You can't do it without Jesus. Yeah. So for me, I couldn't get out of my depression. I couldn't get out of my loneliness. I could only maintain. I needed something to save me, pull me out of that.
100%.
And so, I grew up Buddhist, but with Christianity, I was able to really step out of that frame of thinking of I'm my own God. I have to take care of my own issues. And God was the one that helped me in everything.
Praise be to God.
Amen.
I mean, I really don't want it to seem like my religion is better than yours kind of deal.
Of course.
It's simply what Jesus claimed for himself.
Yeah.
So,
Can the disagreeers please join?
If we reflect on the aspect of the only true religion or the only true religion for me, it's a slippery slope, because if you substitute religion with nationalism, we can all of a sudden see the problems with it,
I get it. I think that organized religion can cause a lot of issues. The message of Jesus Christ, he's the embodiment of love, right? But yeah, I truly believe in my heart. I do not think people that do not know him are just gonna burn in the fiery pits. I don't think it's that black and white. But yes, I truly do believe Jesus Christ Christianity is the only way.
My epiphany was walking down Route 101 in Pennsylvania and thinking, oh my God, this idea behind Christianity is that everyone that doesn't just believe in this one thing, they're gonna burn forever. And that was my epiphany, oh man, it is fun, not fun, it is fulfilling to have a very black and white way of looking at the world, right? That I remember how great that felt, but also my epiphany is, there has to be more in the world and the universe than that. That can't be the end of it. That might be an all-knowing God, but that's not an all-loving God. It can't be all,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm so jealous that you guys feel like it's the only religion. I wish I felt that way still, but I just don't know anything. And there's millions of religions. How can you say 100% that it's the only true one? You can't, but I know in your hearts you can, and I wish I had that so bad, but I just don't.
It's like this, in answer to your question, I haven't studied every religion to say this is wrong, this is right, but I do know that Jesus is real based on what he's done in my life, and I know the Bible is real based on archaeology and prophecy, and Jesus says he's the only way, so I'll believe him. He could be lying, I could be wrong.
What if I said that to you?
But
what
Jesus,
makes him special?
Jesus proved himself to me by saving me, by doing miracles in my life.
What if I say?
Yeah, but that's anecdotal.
But you haven't saved me.
Yeah.
What if I do though? What if he does? What if anybody else?
The issue, I believe that you experience that, and that it's powerful, and if that makes you a better human being, fantastic. The issue is that it's anecdotal. To go to what you were saying, how can you prove without just the basis of faith that this is the absolute truth?
Christian apologetics.
Right, but the Christian apologetics disagree in a bunch of different aspects,
Not really.
And you need.
No, they don't actually.
Well, they do, and you really need to focus on whether you are going to theologically accept the Bible as the absolute document of truth? What are you gonna cherry pick from it? What are you gonna accept as, oh, this was just a historical thing?
I understand what you're saying.
When Jesus said, you can't change an iota here.
It's hard because I feel like I'm hyper liberal too and stuff because I'm like, you know what I mean and stuff.
Working.
But then I know, right? But then it's like, it's kind of true to a degree. Like sometimes I honestly feel like I cherry pick from the Bible. Like, I'm like, well, they still eat shellfish, so I could be with a man. You know what I mean? It's so tough because it's like, I only know how to love a man as much as I would love to be what normal is. This is just who I am.
I want to know why shellfish keeps coming up in these debates.
Because it's a weird entry in the Bible, that's why.
Very, very bizarre, yes.
Well, there's things that we were meant to abstain from, and then there was a time when God said everything is clean. So I mean, that's the thing is like if you're actually studying as far as food, if you're actually studying the Bible, and if you're actually looking into the history, the science, the theology about that, that's where you're going to get your questions answered.
I'll admit, I am still ignorant of the Bible. Like I'm not, it's only been like maybe 7 years for me and stuff. And I admit, I could probably learn so much from you and stuff just from hearing how you speak about it. It seems like you're very knowledgeable and stuff, so.
I have 28 years of the Bible and I still don't fucking understand it. It's very contradictory in some
There's
parts.
other books, you guys. It's okay.
The Bible is always open to interpretation.
The Bible is so confusing. Every Christian cherry picks.
Everybody does.
You're not supposed to lie, you lie. Yeah. So how can you not interpret it in so many ways? And it's been obviously transcribed so many times, adding the word homosexual and all this, and it's just...
The doctrine of hell, not very clear.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's all just, if you look at the God that's portrayed in the Old Testament and the New Testament both, it looks a lot more like us than it looks like an all-knowing, all-good kind of situation. You're like, oh yeah, this totally came to get people to cooperate with the power,
Jealousy, vengeance, these are human qualities.
My argument or my issue with interpreting is that, we as human beings, that's what we do. We have something and we have to interpret it. My issue is it all boils down and distilled to, is it divine or is it not? And am I allowed to pick things out or am I not? There are so many issues with the claim of divinity because it's not that it's open to interpretation, it's that it's always being interpreted. There are conclaves,
so many languages.
Yeah, that are built just to do that. To decide which book goes in, which book comes out,
Yeah, Martin Luther took out like 10 books or something, and they're like, why'd you do that? And he's like, that's not what God wanted. It's like, oh, okay, Martin Luther. Yeah.
One of the biggest reasons why I step forward is, again, because I think it's a guideline, not an absolute. It was tough for me because I'm very much like, I believe in Jesus Christ and whatever God says he wants, and it's tough to even realistically do that every day. Like every day I sin because I kiss this man that I love, and then I jump on a box and go to OnlyFans. You know what I mean? Like it's tough feeling like everything that you do, that's just an everyday thing, and it has zero to do with how you treat people. At the end of the day, the rainbow that it gets to and stuff, and pot of gold is that Jesus Christ is all loving. He loves everybody. He hung out with someone who was like a whore.
Hey, don't slow down.
And was like, hey, you still can be this good person. Don't let the world tell you this. But I believe that in some way, the Bible is telling you that. Is telling you like, this is, hey, it's okay to not be this. I think it's maybe organized religion that gets it muffled, and then there's all this hate towards everyone. Because I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't think that Jesus Christ hated
trying to organize all of the Bible and make it make sense, that's going to fail. Not very clear whether it's telling us to do good things or do bad things. It has kind of a combination of both in there.
Thank you. I'm actually glad that you brought up the whole translations thing, because that is something that I used to question as well. And once I looked into it, every modern translation of the Bible is actually translated from Greek, Hebrew, or Aramaic, which are ancient languages. So it's not that we're just continuing to translate from whatever was modern to another modern, no. And that's why if you've ever heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's ancient text from the Bible where if you were to compare it to the Bible today, only things different is like punctuation.
But that's amazing because that was
It's a
one of
big
the
deal.
most amazing discoveries of this century, in that they discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls and they thought they would correct all these mistakes in the Bible, but it was so amazing that 99.99% was accurate, so they were amazed.
2 Peter chapter 1 verse 20 tells us that no scripture is for interpretation. So it's actually for us to accept rather than understand. And for me personally, like when I try to understand, so I have a kid, when he was 5 years old, I tried to explain to him like mortgage. I had money in my pocket, I was still poor, I was living in the projects, right? My kid was like, let me get bubble gum. And I was like, I can't, I don't have enough money, I don't want to like buy him the clothes. I couldn't buy him the clothes. But in his mind, he was understanding it as, Dad, you don't love me, right? And I'm like, but I do love you. As much as I explained it to him, he couldn't understand it. He was very miserable because of that. The Bible tells us, at least for me, that we're all children in God. Like we're finite beings. We cannot understand infinite things. So when I learned to stop trying to understand rather and just accept, then I was able to truly be free. For me personally.
That's like
Sounds
growing
amazing.
up. It was like I would ask my parents, because my parents are super religious, Trumpers, borderline QAnon. Scary.
2024, let's go.
Come on. And I was terrified of the rapture. Anytime I said anything about the rapture, it's always just like, well, you're thinking with your human brain. You're not thinking with your heavenly brain. I'm like, but I only have a human brain. Like I can only understand what I can understand here.
Can I ask you something too? I wanted to know, like, so do you believe, like, say, if someone's kind and treats people right and is a really good-hearted soul, but say they really don't believe in anything, perhaps, God, right? Do you believe that they're gonna burn just because they don't believe?
I think that God invites us all to have a life with him in eternity. And I think a lot of times we're like, he's just want to throw people in hell, but he's like, if you want to be with me in eternity, these are the qualifications. Jesus is the only
So that's
way.
a yes.
Conditionally, but terms and
So yeah,
conditions
you
apply.
think they'll burn
So
in
that's
hell.
a yes. The good person will burn in hell.
If they don't know Jesus, yes, they will not be with God for eternity.
Yeah, so that makes me not want to know that guy.
I think step back a little because
should
we've
go
been
back to the
dancing
prompt.
around it a little bit, but relating to the prompt though, I would like to know how you became ex-Christians. I think that might help
Actually,
us.
yeah, that'd be really nice.
By reading the Bible.
Okay.
I think
When
that's
you
a
disagreed.
common thing.
Yeah. Well,
Do you mind
I
if
mean,
I ask if you have a religion?
I do not have any organized religion. I don't really believe in anything supernatural. I am technically part of the Satanic Temple. We only have 7 rules. We don't have an entire book. We don't need to,
Is that considered a religion? I'm just curious. I
It
don't
is
know.
technically considered a religion, but it's like the religion to end all religions. They really hate organized religion. They kind of want to just have everybody focus on humanity, putting differences aside, treating each other with respect.
I guess what I'm asking is, so there was a time when you called yourself a Christian.
Of course.
How did you become an ex-Christian? What made that change?
So it all started when my family, I was 22 years old. I started asking, like, specifically, like, if you wanted an example of something. The Bible says in Exodus 20, these are the 10 commandments, and then it lists things that God only verbally spoke. But then later, if you go to Exodus 34, it mentions the 10 commandments, and they're a little bit different. I would encourage you to go look at Exodus 34, especially the 10th commandment. Do not boil a goat in its mother's milk.
Yeah.
That's a fun one. We should be adhering to that today, right?
Well, if Jesus never came and created a new covenant, then yeah, there's a lot of things we'd still be doing.
Sure. Those are part of the 613 laws, which is called the mitzvah. And people don't know that we're not under those laws anymore. We're also not under pretty much any law because it says Romans 6:14, we're free, right? We're free from the law.
And I mean,
We're
that's
under
just
grace.
one example. If you really want to focus on the things that most Christians say should be relevant, that would be the Gospels, right?
Sure.
You guys would agree
Oh,
with that?
absolutely.
Right. So let's look at all 4 Gospels, let's compare them to one another, and tell me that there are not contradictions in them. That
There's no
one
contradictions
event
in the
happened,
Bible.
and also the simultaneous other event happened. Like, was Judas, did he die in the desert, or did somebody kill him? Like,
It never says anybody killed him. It says he hung himself.
yeah, he hung
He
himself.
fell headlong, right? And then
Yeah, or was he killed by the people that he was paid off by?
I mean, we could have a
Or the
nitpicking
dogs.
theological
Yeah.
discussion with
Well,
all these
we
different
should,
passages.
shouldn't
Yeah.
we?
Well, not
we
for
could,
this.
but we
Yeah,
also
Bible
should.
says
But I
later,
also want
but
to
that's
know,
not what
so
this
your
is.
other your experience, is that similar
go to your
difficulty with the Bible, so you kind of walked away?
So my I talked about my epiphany experience, but also when I came out to my mom, I went to, Christian camp and Bible college. When I came out to my mom, she ripped up my birth certificate and sent it to me.
Oh my gosh.
Which is very I said to my therapist, I was like, oh,
That's horrible.
that was so passive aggressive. My therapist was like, no, that was aggressive.
No passive.
But, we came to find each other. I was the only of her 5 kids that was holding her hand when she died.
Oh my gosh.
We prayed together. But that experience was one of the ones where I was like, it's not just about me. I lost 2 partners in a row to cancer, which is just, kind of
horrible.
Yeah, but I know that there is something that I have faith in, and it's not Christianity and it's not God, but that I was the right people to sit with both those women as they died, right?
Yeah.
And that is like what I have faith in. I wish that I still had Christianity. I wish that was something that I could still stomach because, except for you saying you like Trump, I think we would have a lot of fun, right? I already like it.
Trump doesn't have to come. I love Trump. He don't got to be there.
So, I still have that faith. I just wish it could come in a Christian package, but that just does not work for me. I feel like the world is too big for that.
And I see your reaction when she mentioned the birth certificate. Most of the good Christian friends that I have react the same way as you do. And the problem is that's the norm. Her experience in Christian households is the norm.
That's crazy.
It's the norm. I came out to my family. I am a happily married man for 15 years, and my family hates me because of that. There's an issue with that. So that becomes the norm. And when that's the norm, you need to really question, what's happening in there.
So I feel like a lot of people think that Christians are allowed to judge, and if they don't read the Bible, they don't understand that we're not allowed to judge. So that's why a lot of this sounds like kind of your personal problems with your families who claim to be Christian, and this is no disrespect, but if you really are Christian, you're not called to judge anybody. We're all interconnected by sin. If I stand in front of God as an ex-gang member and you stand in front of God as a homosexuality, we're both on the same level. Yeah. So we have to recognize that. So I do agree with people when they say, the community here, when they're saying that, Christianity and people try to act as holier than thou. That's not what true Christianity is.
100%.
I'm just hearing you said my mom wasn't a good Christian. Now I'm mad at you for that. Yeah, my mom was a good Christian. She was doing what maybe a little dramatic, right? It seems a little gay to wrap up, some of these. Oh my God, but my mom was a good Christian. She was doing what she thought she needed to do to keep me from going to hell. No joke. That's what she thought was the most loving thing in that moment.
There's a right way to go about it.
If I may add to that, what you said is correct. If you want to be a rightful, correct Christian, you're not called to judge. Right. The problem is going back to what I mentioned. It's the norm. So we need to ask ourselves what is happening with the majority of Christian families or households that are all reacting like that.
Yeah, if y'all could just go talk to your people, please. That would be great.
Believe me, I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
Hey, I know this discussion can feel like a lot. Thankfully, our partner for this video, the Skylight app, has simple, no-fuss spiritual exercises that can work for anybody, religious or not. Here, let me take you through some affirmations I learned.
Things are neither good nor bad. They just are. I can feel the stress flowing out of me as I slow down and focus on my breath. I can get through anything with the help of my higher power.
With each breath, I let go of my stress. I will overcome this stressful situation. As I turn toward that higher power, whatever that higher power may be, my anxiety turns to patience. The Skylight app has tons more exercises like this, and it's all totally free. Check them out at skylight.org. Thanks so much to Skylight for sponsoring this portion of the episode. Now let's get back to it.
You can be gay and Christian.
I feel that you need to start.
Well, this whore, huh? Obviously and stuff. I'm a big old fruitcake. I bartend in nightlife. I go dance. I do adult content. I love it. I love having sex with men, which almost sounds bad now that I'm saying it out loud.
It's amazing.
But I still love the Bible. I treat people with respect. I go to confession. I do all these things. I love my LGBTQIA community. And I'm a gay man, I'm big oat fruit, and I love it, so.
I was gonna say, one of the reasons I became an ex-Christian was because I met gay people. Because I grew up in a Christian, small, conservative town, and my parents like pushed it into me. They're like, what are the two things we vote on as Christians? And I'd have to say, abortion and gay marriage,
Wow.
like brainwashed.
Whoa.
So I met gay people and I was like, why do my parents say you're bad? You know? And then it's like, it's just crazy. Just living life is how I became an ex-Christian, and just, I hate the fact that, like my mom says, you can be gay, you just can't act on it. Yeah. And I'm like, so you want someone to go their whole life without loving someone, and people kill themselves because of that.
For me, I just think it's kind of pervy that there is just thought that he is so involved in what you do in bed.
Or
I just
Christians are involved in people's
Right.
beds.
Well, the reason I'm sitting here, I think I also probably, before the other two join us, I think I'm probably in line with them too. I'm just answering the prompt in that, can a gay person believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for his sins and that he is risen again, that Jesus is God? Yes,
Amen.
definitely, and can go to heaven. And I'm a Christian, and I think most of us don't care about what people do in their bedrooms, but we do care about other people saying, no, your God says this is okay, when the Bible strictly says it's homosexuality is sin.
How does that make you feel when he says that?
When they say it, again, interpreting, right? So they have it interpreted saying that they meant mainly when it was older men having sex with young men, because there wasn't a word to translate for just something else like men and men. But, yeah, so I don't believe he necessarily meant being in love with a man or a woman with a woman. And so I believe is for men with younger men who couldn't determine, didn't have a choice.
I've heard that before, and I speak Greek and I read and write Greek. And if you look at that passage in Romans chapter 1, it's not about the word. It actually describes men having sexual acts with other men.
I'm going to burn in the fiery pits.
No, but God forgives.
Yeah, he does. He does.
I believe you have a real faith in Jesus, so you are forgiven of your sins.
I love Jesus Christ. And I know that the Bible's not going to change for me too. Like, I know that if this is truly a sin, then I have to answer to that when I go. It's not, there's nothing I can do. Also, there's nothing I want to do though. I love who I love. And I truly believe Jesus Christ, the embodiment of love, is like, I get it. I feel like he's always kind of like letting me know, like, I'm glad you're on the right path.
I agree with you. I think that's, if you're going to practice something, at least practice a good part of it.
Love to hear this.
I believe the Bible, I believe what it says, and I also understand in the Bible that it says that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God or take or have any part of it. And it lists a lot of different sins. And I think that there's a difference between people falling short. We all do. We all make mistakes. We all struggle. We're all figuring out our identity, all of that.
Yeah.
But for me, the difference is if you are purposely, day in and day out, saying, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to live my life, and it goes completely against the Word of God, that's when I feel you have separated yourself from the Lord, and you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Do you have gay friends?
I do not have gay friends. I barely have friends, period. But
Wow, I can see that. I actually think that you would be around a lot of people because you're so bubblegummy and warm.
No, there was,
your friend?
I know.
We'll be your gay friends, yeah.
No, there was a time that the reason why that happened, I'm not trying to be on Maury or something, but like, I've had friends, but what I noticed is I was attracted to a lot of toxic friendships that were very one-sided. So what I had to do is like get rid of that, and God actually called me to be closer to Him. I entered into ministry. I do YouTube stuff, but anyways, so now is the time. I have a church community. I have friends, but for me, a friend is someone who also draws me closer to Christ.
Do you think that I truly will go to hell even though I'm Catholic and I practice just because I love a man? Because I'll be miserable. Like, I've tried being alone and it's hard. I want someone that's there that I want to love, and I want to take care of them, and I want to provide for them and do all that. And all I want to do is have someone like everyone else. And I don't think that Jesus Christ wants me not to. But
I don't think loving anybody is wrong, but we're talking love and sexuality are two different categories. And I know that the Lord believes in Christian marriage, man and woman who are monogamous and who are not going to be cheating on each other, fornicating, all that stuff. So with you, honestly, I'm just going to go a little off script. I know you're searching. I know you are. And I know you mean it, and I know that there's things that you feel like you can't change.
Yeah.
I know that you have a genuine, sorry.
I know what you're saying, because I can see in you, you remind me of my grandma, and I say this in this way because she's hyper-Christian, and she feels like if she starts approving or liking something like this, it's tough, because you're like, if I love someone who does this, it goes against my faith.
I still
but
love
all you
people.
want to do, though, you're like, this person's cool, I get along with them, we're going to the same place, right?
Do you feel that you're searching?
I don't think that I'm searching.
What would you to say to him when he says, I'm not searching, I feel that I found...
Well, the thing I was going to go forward and say is I do believe that you want to please the Lord, and I know that you're...
Thank you.
So is that enough?
I know that you feel like you can't change. And there's a lot of people like that. Heavy breaths, heavy sighs, oh my gosh, she said that. I know that you feel like you can't change.
Can we get to the root of why homosexuality is wrong?
So
Because it's in the Bible.
Please do.
And it goes against God's design for family.
So here's the thing, right, guys? I think we're focusing too much on this thing that's like, so for me, sin is more of like a virus, right? There's symptoms of this virus, right?
So the gay virus.
Right, so no, it's not a gay virus. What I'm saying is I'm trying to make a differentiation between sin and what we think is actual sin, right? So if it enters our body and we have a fever, let's say, runny nose, fever, sore throat, if I take Tylenol and I take aspirin, my fever will suppress, right? But if I don't attack the virus at its core, then it'll keep still popping up. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
How does this analogy relate to
I'm getting there.
What's wrong?
He's getting to the point.
So I'm getting to the point. True sin, like I said, it's a virus. It stems from unbelief. It stems from trusting and believing in myself, right? So I knew, for example, that you can't just kill people. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a gang member. My dad beat me, he was an alcoholic, my mom, all of that was an excuse, right? I chose, like she was saying, right?
You chose.
So I chose, I'm going to follow my thoughts and believe in myself. Do you guys understand? And from that, I became a gang member. When I lived my own way and I trusted my own self, essentially being my own God.
When you trusted yourself.
Yes.
Another
right.
decision.
judge.
I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Everything that you're bringing up to the table are decisions. When did you choose to be gay?
Right, no, I did not. There was no choice for me. You can't help who you fall in love with, right? And like, say if you, are you biracial, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, so ditto and stuff. And you know, like at some point, maybe our parents and stuff, right? People were like, how dare you be with this, you know, our grandparents, you know what I mean? And stuff, and it's like, you can't help who you love and you're not supposed to, but people told them they were supposed to. So I can't help who I fall in love with. And I'm not supposed to, because Jesus Christ, he did all these things with people that were very not, they're all supposed to go to hell.
Jesus didn't follow the Bible.
So, not very much. He was
Your own guy did not follow his
he
own
was
book.
extremely kind and loving to everybody and said, no matter what and stuff, just trust in my heart.
Do you understand that he also is saving people, healing them, and also saying, go and sin no more? He wasn't saying, let's all party and let's all, people like to
But
say
my
he's just like
love
up in
and
a
loving
club.
someone though isn't partying and having a good time, being like at the bar. That's
literally
a bar.
having like companionship and love.
And he's not saying, even the woman who was caught in adultery, he wasn't saying, don't throw a stone at her. You're okay, keep doing that. He was like, stop that. Don't do that anymore.
No,
and
I
that's
get
what
that
his,
he was
that's
saying
what his
don't
whole,
be a harlot or don't be extra about it, right, and stuff. But me, there is nothing, he made me this way. There is nothing I can do.
How many testimonies have you seen?
But I was born gay.
In the LGBT, we can agree to disagree.
But
how many
you can't disagree
testimonies?
though about my life though.
We can argue. We can argue the
There's
same
no
thing about
hypothetical though
testimony.
about if I was
Can I finish
born.
my sentence, though?
But I hypothetically am not that.
What do
I
you
was
say,
born this way.
What do you say about all of the people who have come out of the LGBT lifestyle and have said this is where it started? I can pinpoint something happened. I can pinpoint a trauma. I can pinpoint they weren't
But
just.
that's their
I think
story,
they're lying
though.
to themselves.
No, let's
Don't
accept
even
it.
talk about it.
Let's
then.
accept it as true. Let's just give that as true.
Yeah, right.
What makes the other thing false?
Right, 100%. Like
you
I don't understand.
You can
like
have,
that's
you
their
can
story.
go through trauma and whoa, yeah, that made you whoever you are.
Then
That's
maybe
not
you
my
should-
story.
I don't think
That's not and I'm still who I'm still who
Well,
I
I'm glad
am.
your life was really great.
Well, I don't think we could just focus just on homosexuality for 2 hours.
Well, that was the prompt.
But I don't know Jake. I don't know his experience, and I can't judge his heart. But if Jake really believes Jesus Christ is his Lord and Savior, dying on the cross for his sins,
yes,
I think God will work in his heart. I mean, there are sins in my life that I haven't repented of. I'm not perfect either. I think in heaven, no one is gay. Yes, gay people can become Christians and go to heaven, but in heaven,
what?
I don't think God makes mistakes, though.
I'm so sick of
So-
Christians comparing, like they say all sin is equal. They don't believe that.
No,
like,
It's a lifestyle. It's a day-to-day thing. If I'm always lying, I'm always cheating. I have no.
Those things are
Those
bad.
are decisions.
Why is being gay bad?
Yeah,
And
I don't
again, those are
understand that.
decisions.
I don't.
Pivoting
I
to
Okay, let me
murder,
ask you a question.
gang
like 3
violence.
times.
I studied
Why is
theology
gay?
for many,
Is it
many
for
years.
you?
Why
Is it
is that
purely
bad?
just because it's in the Bible? Like not
Exactly.
like when you see me, like if you saw
Exactly.
me kiss a guy or like
There
hold
is no
hands, you don't
natural
come off
reason.
this way as someone who seems like that's off-putting to you.
No, it's not
I
because
could
of
be
that.
wrong.
It's because, well, theologically, I don't know why the Bible is against it. I don't know why God says these things.
Then ask those questions.
But
They're
the
important.
Bible is clear in saying this is God's standard. And I don't understand the whole mind of God.
Well, why don't
I
you understand about there's a design for family?
You could say it's about the natural order of creation, that of procreation and how God made things the way
Is that
they are.
the end all
in the
and be all
beginning.
to life?
Now that's my interpretation.
Yeah, like, do you only
I
have
can't
sex
say
to
100%
procreate?
that
No.
that's what I want.
It's fine.
Not even in nature. That doesn't even happen in nature.
I can't think for God, but I do know what the Bible is clear in its teachings.
But he gives us
wouldn't you
logic
say-
and reasoning. We
wouldn't
should
you say-
question.
Wouldn't you be humble
Yeah,
enough
Kelly,
to say?
what's on your mind?
No, I mean, I do really feel for you because I do understand that it sounds condescending to say, but I understand you believe that the Bible says being gay is wrong. Like, I get, and that is how I always felt growing up. And what I watched is as, clearly gay people of my generation, I watched them kill themselves. I've watched them try to be different. I watched them live lives of just complete desperation. I watched them get married to women and have sex on the side. I watched these beautiful people, these beautiful, loving people made of love and who had so much to give the world, try to subvert an important part of themselves to fit into this idea, this 1 or 2 lines from the Bible.
And as I said, when you mentioned testimony, and I said that was anecdotal, I will also come back and say that's also anecdotal. But we can go then back to the legislation. If you have a fundamentalist person that believes that that's wrong, and they manage to get into the legislature, they will pass a bill against it. So we're not playing in a playing field for equality for all. So the fact that you have, even if you don't understand where it comes from, the fact that you have that belief and you will force yourself into government to then decide for other people.
Right, I don't understand those things.
It's a big
wild.
no, because
I truly do feel God enjoys love. I prayed and prayed and prayed to find love and stuff, and I was like, I'm so lonely. And it's like, I'm getting to that place where I might have that with someone, and I feel so happy. And this guy he's Catholic, he goes to church, and he goes to confession, and he loves these things, and it makes me feel so good.
Do you feel like part of that relationship was filling a hole and a void that maybe Jesus could have filled? Maybe if you focused on that first?
No,
that's just a question.
because I've been focusing on it I've been single for about 7
and your
years.
Jesus hole is filled already with
my
Jesus itself, right?
Jesus is inside the hole. Excuse me, Lord. Oh my God.
Oh, man.
In the past, I've experienced unexplainable supernatural events.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go.
I've questioned if what I believe is true.
That's the nature of knowledge.
What love is all about.
That's the nature of knowledge.
Reality.
Look at that, a middle ground. Look at that. I even question being an ex-Christian sometimes. I call myself a hopeful agnostic. I
dig
sure
that.
as shit hope something's out there because that's really depressing if there's not. But if there isn't, that's cool too. I just, obviously we all became ex-Christians because we started questioning what we believe. And I think that's really important to like solidify your faith as well, like on your side too.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because that is true. Like that is something, me questioning is something that has solidified my faith a lot more, finding information about like the evidence of Christ, the evidence of God. Because I feel like, honestly, you'd be lying to yourself if you didn't say it, that it took faith to believe in anything. It takes faith to believe in the Big Bang. It takes faith to believe that there's this void out here.
Why would you say that?
Because you don't know. Were you there when the Big Bang happened?
We don't need to be there. We have likelihood.
Were you there?
We don't need to be there. We can measure that light from the
Then why does science keep changing? It changes like every year. Actually, we discovered we were wrong.
Because of the same way Newtonian physics changed into Einstein, the same way things evolved. Knowledge keeps on growing. The hubris of Christianity to say we have everything figured out and everything is true. Science has humbleness to say we know only this, and we keep on researching to grow our knowledge.
Science doesn't claim to know everything. Your belief system does claim to know everything and doesn't move off of that point. Science keeps updating, making itself more and more accurate. That's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of living, is to keep learning.
And I think that's crazy.
To
keep saying that every time something changes that we thought to be true, this is awesome. We were wrong.
We thought that we didn't need to wash our hands before surgery.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
I'm glad that we discovered that.
Then all of a sudden, we discovered the microbes and how that affected, the health of the body. And then all of a sudden,
then
that's
stop
back.
saying you know. Then just be like,
we
think
never
this,
said
and
we knew.
think that.
We said that we were humble in science to know that we know what we know. And we're constantly trying to grow that knowledge. We don't have the hubris to say we know everything.
I think it's so important to be like,
I know everything either.
I can't prove that God exists, but I also can't prove that he doesn't exist.
I love that you said that, and I appreciate that.
Like, and I hope you all say that too, like that you can't 100% prove God.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what faith is.
Speaking about belief, I've spoken to a lot of ex-Christians because 6 years ago I started a ministry called Uber Evangelism. Trained about a dozen people. Yeah, dozen people to go across the country to drive for Uber and also talk about Jesus.
Oh my God,
so I've spoken to a lot of people.
Is that how Gideon got saved?
Yeah, the Uber drivers talk to you about it?
I'm the Uber driver who talks about Jesus.
So you think that's harassment?
Now, aside from going over that, so I've spoken to a lot of people from different perspectives, different religions, and it really enhanced my faith in Christ. But also, I've also spoken to a lot of ex-Christians, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but although the stats say it's because they disagree with some of the church's political stand, negative experience, but from my conversations with them, it appeared that most of them became ex-Christians because they just don't believe in Jesus. Is that right?
For me, I'm an extremely reluctant ex-Christian, right?
Why?
Like I would like to be a Christian, but things don't seem true.
Yeah.
Like
What
it
do you
just
mean
doesn't.
by not believing in Jesus? Like
That he's the Son of God. Of course, everybody knows he's existed.
that's
I
under
mean,
debate.
Yeah.
Right, but
And
that,
also
that he's the Son of God.
It's
No, not that he
historically.
existed.
Oh, okay.
But
I
yeah,
was
the
like-
belief that he is the Son of God, died for people's
Yeah.
sins.
I like his messaging. I like the things
Right,
that he
a
said.
lot of people do,
I
right.
think a lot of people really like
But
those
yeah,
and like
you're
to
right.
live by
Thank you
them.
for clarifying. I'm talking about believing in Jesus as Lord and Savior is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, or well, maybe not just in the way that you say, right?
Right,
like I could believe in Jesus, but definitely not that thing. So that's why Christianity doesn't work for me anymore, right?
For me, in my case, it's just that through study and a truly unbiased research and honest searching, I arrived at the conclusion that Christianity, as it is presented to us so far throughout the ages, I believe it deeply immoral, and the image of God is deeply immoral, and some of the teachings that are there are incredibly immoral. So I don't subscribe to that because I do believe that I do have a better moral compass.
I find it hard to believe that you came to that conclusion based on objective research.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I mean,
colonialism, right? Yeah.
Colonialism, manifest
Slavery.
destiny, slavery is not denied or rejected in the Bible. So there are a whole bunch of immoral things that happen in the Bible that some apologists will say, well, no. That was a historical thing that everyone did, so it has to be documented as the thing that happened historically. So is it human or is it divine? So, for me, it's just immoral.
going back to the original prompt, I think for me, it doesn't matter how much I tell my testimony. I always question whether or not people are going to accept God through it. If you guys don't accept it, that's okay. You know, for me, it's kind of like an all-you-can-eat buffet. You know, it's like you could pick and choose. You want the chow mein or the sushi. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but there's still only one
Asian
right answer, right?
I mean, technically.
It's fine that you believe that there is one right answer. If it's for you and your truth, that's fine.
That's
you
what
know,
I'm
that's
saying.
that's
Yeah,
a very
that's what I'm saying.
postmodernism approach. You know, I think from my perspective that's right. As long as you don't intervene with my perspective, we're cool.
For sure.
Well, I get what you're saying because there's a lot of crap in institutional religion, including Christianity. Judging, hypocrisy, abuse. So I get it when people walk away from the church, but don't walk away from Jesus.
100%.
I'll tell you, like a thing I just can't grasp is like, okay, we're born. We didn't ask to be here. We are flawed from the beginning. Life from a biblical Jesus standpoint seems like it's one big test that we have to pass. And if we don't, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I think I would go to heaven, but I won't because I can't force myself to believe in Jesus and God.
That's what
that
I don't
sucks.
believe. And I know that you do believe. I don't think that Jesus Christ, the embodiment of love, is saying, going to hell because you were kind to me.
That's what the Bible says.
Right.
And
That you're not
that's
going to
why
hell
he
for
gets-
being kind. You're going to hell for not surrendering to Jesus
But that's
Christ.
not her fault.
It's a narrow
part of the
road.
game.
Hold on,
Logically, that's not her fault.
The game is like
So,
we're throwing you
I have a
here,
question.
and you decide. you know?
So Hitler's on his deathbed, and he says, God, I believe in you. Hitler's going to heaven, and I'm not. What the fuck is that
Honestly,
about?
On his deathbed,
honestly,
yes, he would
honestly.
go to heaven. Yeah.
I do believe we have free will, and when we come to these things like, oh, this was wrong, and we learn from him, I think that is what his version of believing in me is. She believed in love and kindness, which is Jesus Christ. So that's what I believe would send her and everyone else to heaven.
So I'm going to challenge that. Then
Yeah.
why don't cut the middleman and just believe in kindness?
I wish I could
it's
say.
not about
I
that.
don't-
The Bible's purpose, that God's purpose wasn't about trying to make people good or to improve people or to fill people with love. The purpose was to save people.
Save us
And
from what?
from
Because of the fall.
Everybody
Because of the
needs
fall.
Jesus. Let me say something that you might not like. I think all four of you know that God really exists. Deep down, I think you do know.
Any version
However,
of God? None.
you don't want it to be true. And so
No,
whatever
that's putting
information,
work.
right? I said you might not like it, right?
No, might
literally
not like
said I
it and categorically accepting
But
it.
let me finish my thought though.
No.
That because you don't want it to be true, okay, maybe not specific to you, but for the people in the scientific community or historical community, they don't want the God to be true. That's telling them what's right and wrong, that what they're doing is
That's
wrong.
a generalization.
Right. This is a generalization.
Yeah.
So I'm saying probably, most likely, the scientific community and others who are skeptical because they don't want it to be true.
You're presenting margin of error. Probably, maybe, this thing, that other thing. That's a
Well,
margin of error.
It's not a brain thing, it's a heart condition.
That's not
Even
science.
worse.
Exactly.
I fear death.
I'd be lying.
Yay. I wish I didn't fear death, but I do.
Yeah.
Like, and I used to be, since I grew up in like a private school my whole life, fire and brimstone, baby.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you are
yeah.
gonna burn, burn, burn. And I've done my research, and I don't think that hell is a literal place, but sometimes I'm like, but what
Yeah,
if like
I
the
know.
pastors in the back of my mind that I've gone through in youth group, I'm like, but what if it is? But I refuse to live like fear-based
Yeah.
and just believe in God because I'm scared. Like, that's not living to me, and I can't like force myself to believe in it.
I know my opinion doesn't matter, but I'm sorry, I just don't believe that you're going to hell.
I love that you
there's
say
just
that.
there's just an aura about people that are just bad and evil and they're going. You know what I mean? There's no way in hell that you're going there. So, but I feel I fear what death will feel like. I'm like, man, I feel like it's gonna hurt, and I hate saying that because I'm such a pansy, but I am terrified of pain and stuff, unless it's the good kind, you know, and warranted, you know, a little something. But That terrifies me also because I'm afraid of what's gonna happen to the people that actually care about me. Just knowing that they're going through something and I can't be there to comfort them
Well,
anymore.
apparently you're not even gonna know what's happening down there. That's what Christians have told me. Like, I won't even think about them. You won't even know them when they come up to heaven. I don't believe that. Like, they say that you won't recognize your, like, partner.
Wow,
When your
I
partner.
haven't.
Yeah.
I thought heaven was supposed to be heaven, and my heaven includes them, you know?
I always just thought, like, do I want to live forever? Sounds so exhausting. So I hope when I die, it's just like in the ground and just like resting.
I hope not. I want us to hang out up there. I want us to go to a club up there.
Yeah, we'll kiki up there.
I used to be super afraid of dying. And then, you know, had 2 partners in a row die. And when people talk about an afterlife, I'm like, really? Another life after this one? That sounds like a lot. Exactly. Yeah, only if I can only watch like HBO documentaries or something, you know.
Are you okay?
You okay?
You all right?
You okay?
Can I give you a hug? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hate the topic of death because you always remember the people that you care about that are gone. So again, it really hurts. And that's so
Sorry.
sad.
No,
Don't apologize. You're human.
You guys can go while I get my voice back together.
You need anything from us?
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Were you finished? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I lost 2 partners, and that kind of, I feel like being with them as they died really made me not, first of all, A, there's things that are worse than death. B, I don't have a fear of going to hell anymore. I feel like I've already been through hell. I just feel like, oh, if all there is blackness after this, just darkness, like, yeah, let's go, let's go. Let's like the big nap, please. Yeah, bring on the big nap, yeah.
Relax.
I just want to rest.
Yes.
For me, I guess it's very similar. Why should I fear something that, in its simplest explanation, it may just be nothing. It may just be no experience, no pain, no suffering, and I'm fine with that.
I would say I don't personally fear death because I believe I know where I'm going, but I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't something that ate me up inside to think of people that I know and if they don't know Jesus. And I even pray, like, maybe on their deathbed, you know, because I mean, we have family. Not everybody's Christian in my family. Not everybody's living what I believe to be a Christian life. So I think about that, and that is hard. And I know there's a lot of people's perceptions of Christians is that we want to send you to hell so bad. And that's not it, so.
Of course not.
That's all.
You all right?
If you keep talking, I'll probably get over it, so, yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with that as well. You know, I used to fear death a lot, being in that type of lifestyle. You know, I would carry a gun because I was afraid of dying, actually. You know, people think that, oh, we want to hurt people. No, actually, it was a defensive mechanism for me. But now that, similar to the sister here, like by faith, I feel like I know where I'm going. And likewise, I feel bad about my friends. So that's why, you know, some of the people in my gang are actually my family members, my brother, my uncles. But for me, luckily, I kind of keep my faith in God and allow God to save a person, because like we're all here, right? I can't change how you think. I can't change how you, I can only, you know, speak, and then from my experience, and if you guys accept it, you accept it, you know? So yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Well, even if you don't want it, I'm gonna be praying for y'all, just so you know.
Sweet.
I'm definitely gonna be praying for you, not just like, just praying for you, for your well-being, for everything, so.
I think everyone here is fantastic and stuff. Like, I genuinely, by the way, would love to talk to you about, like, I want to hear like some of your thoughts and stuff like that and stuff, but I would genuinely want to be friends with everyone here. Like, I feel like I can hang out. And so I know that me and her are going to be super tight. So I think that you need to do stand-up.
I do stand up.
You do? Yes. I told you, didn't I say she might actually do it? I called it.
I want to say, as a Christian pastor, I want to apologize for some of the things that you've experienced in the church. And no excuses. I'm not going to say, oh, nobody's perfect, but that shouldn't have happened. There was abuse and judgment, and that's not what Jesus stands for. And I do disagree that, I believe that you know that God is real. I'm going to go back to that, but let me just say, you know what?
I'm not convinced, bro.
I do wish the best for you.
And you as well.
Yes, the same.
I was like, you're gonna get me again, don't you?
I got a
don't
little
you dare.
teary-eyed because like I didn't have like good father figures, so that was really nice.
You're wonderful, you know.
No, I really appreciate that you all came, with your belief, but not proselytizing or forcing as other people do. I like and would love that can spread out in a way that everyone can let everyone practice their way of being a good human being. And the things that are private, to be kept private.
Thank you for being open. Thank you, all of you guys. Thank you very much.
We're all looking for something to fill that void inside of us, right? Some of us, it's Jesus. Some of us, it's, really wild sex.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no.
Can I give you a hug? My hands are so sweaty.
Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
It was a hug.
Let's meet up.
We have to go out.
We should. I gotta get your info. You're wonderful.
You are amazing.
So nice to meet you.
You're amazing. You got a friend for life in me, man.
Oh, thanks.
You do too.